All right, 2.1 properties and operations. We're in our books on page 63. Okay, so yesterday we talked about number properties and the fact that they give us what? They give us, what was that word? Shortcuts. They give us shortcuts. We have the commutative property, which deals with the order of the numbers. The associative property deals with the grouping of the numbers. Inverse property deals with opposites. And identity property is like a mirror because you're looking at yourself. And we'll talk about that in a minute. The first property is the commutative property. You can add numbers in any order, or you can multiply numbers in any order. Sometimes this is helpful when you can rearrange them to make it simpler to add. So what if you had, let's say, 14 plus 39 plus 16? What numbers do you think would be easier to add first?
14 and 16.
14 and 16 to make 30, and then 30 plus 39 is 69. Much easier to do mentally than it is to do 14 plus 39. All right, so commutative property, changing the order of the numbers does not change our answer when we're multiplying or adding. Now, in our next property, it's the associative properties. With the associative properties, I can change the grouping of the terms, and it does not change my answer. 3 plus 4 plus 5, or 3 plus 4 plus 5, still gives me 12. Same thing with multiplication, changing the grouping. What makes this a grouping and not just simple multiplication? What makes it a grouping? Well, there's parentheses, and is there something I can simplify inside the parentheses? Can I do 3 times 4 to get 12? Yeah, I can. Okay? So changing the parentheses or the groupings does not change my answer. All right, associative properties. Okay, any questions on the first two properties? The difference? Now, associative and commutative, they're kind of similar, but remember, associative deals with parentheses, the grouping. Changing the grouping doesn't change my answer. And then commutative is changing the order. All right, now our third property is going to be the inverse properties. When we think inverse, we think opposite. So take any number and add its opposite, and your answer will be 0. What's the opposite of 7? What's the opposite of 7? Negative 7. So 7 plus negative 7 is 0. 5 plus negative 5 is 0. Negative 20 plus 20 is 0. Take any number, combine it with its opposite, and the answer will always be 0. All right, now with multiplication, take any number, multiply it by its reciprocal. What does reciprocal mean? Anybody know? Reciprocal means the opposite. I flip the fraction. So if I have 9 20ths, the reciprocal of 9 20ths is 20 over 9. All right, so what would the reciprocal of 2/3 be? 3 over 2. 3 over 2. What would the reciprocal of 5/6 be?
6/5.
6/5. Very good. So I flip the fraction. That is the reciprocal. Take any number and multiply it by its reciprocal, and the answer is always 1. That's the inverse property of multiplication. All right? Okay, questions on inverse? Okay, last but not least, we have the identity properties. Remember, identity, our key word is what? Key word is mirror. Mirror. So take any number, add 0, and it will be the number itself. What is 10 plus 0? 10. What's negative 5 plus 0? What's negative 20 plus 0? What's negative 1 million plus 0? Negative 1 million, okay? So identity property of addition. Identity property of multiplication says you take any number and multiply it by 1, and the answer will always be the other number. Okay, so what's 9 times 1? What's 20 times 1?
20.
What's negative 5 times 1? Negative 5. You get the picture? Get it? So identity properties, all right, mirror. Think mirror. Any number times 1 is going to be the number itself. Now, on a quiz or a test, this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to ask you which property is illustrated by the example. So you're going to have to look at it and say, okay, that looks like commutative property of addition or associative property of multiplication. So on these 5, right there on your notes, you don't have to write out the problem, but I want you to see if you can figure out what property is being illustrated. All right, so A, what's A going to be, guys? Identity. Identity property of multiplication. What about number 2?
Commutative.
Commutative of multiplication? Really, guys? Commutative of addition. Commutative property of addition. All I'm doing is changing the order of the numbers. I can do that as long as I take the sign with me. All right, now what about C? It is the what? The identity property. Take any number or variable and add 0, and it's just the number or variable itself. What about D? Nope. Associative. I changed the grouping. I didn't change the order. I didn't say X times 3 times Y. I changed my parentheses. I changed my grouping. All right, what about E? What about E, guys? Associative property of addition. All right, so identifying the number properties. All right, and then last but not least, we have example 5. Converting units of measurement. If a roller coaster is 2,711 yards long, how long is it in feet? What do I need to do to figure it out? I need to multiply by 3. If a table is 800 centimeters long, how long is it in meters? What do I do? Centimeters to meters. Divide by 100, because there's 100 centimeters in a meter. What about inches to feet? How many do I need to divide by? Divide by 12. Football player ran 60 yards. How far did he run in feet? What do I do? Are you guys following along? Multiply by 3. A girl threw a ball 150 feet. How far did she throw it in yards? Divide by 3, so that is 50 yards. That's half a football field. She can throw. All right. Math teacher taught for 480 seconds. How long did she teach in minutes? What do I do? Divide by 60. Divide by 60. You guys did well when it wasn't even up on the screen. Sorry, I forgot to unfreeze it. All right, so whenever I'm converting units of measurement, guys, I'm not getting like crazy, like specific ones. These are the very common ones, like inches to feet to yards to miles type thing. But whenever we're converting, hopefully you know whether to multiply or divide. Anyway, so that's pretty much, I think, everything you need to know for 2.1.